Good afternoon, students. This is Professor Martinez. I hope you're doing okay and welcome to week 2. Today, I recorded a brief video about the process of creating content and how the first step is to define the outcomes. This basically means what do you want to create? What are the deliverables for the client? What are the client expectations? So when you think about outcomes, think about what you want to achieve with each of the pieces of content you are recommending. Do you want to generate awareness? Do you want people to take action, conversions, sales? You need to have that clear because that will be it will determine what your next step would be, which is determining the creative approach. And so this means how do you visually imagine all these deliverables? If you have in the plan that you want to work in a press kit or a social media post for Facebook, how does the team visualize it? How are you going to do a combination of images with text, or you're going to do just images? If it is a press kit, do you have all the colors, the brand colors, and the brand and the correct fonts, so you stay and maintain consistency in the voice strategy? So all of this will help you create what we call in the agencies a creative brief. And so when you have as much detail as possible as far as what you want to achieve and what do you visualize, then you will be able to work on the next step, which is the first draft of the content. And I think we're going to go through these steps during our short semester in this class because we are creating content. So we have to take into consideration each of these steps. So the first draft is just, gather as much as material as you have possible and get it out there, get your first draft. And then after you do that, you have to review it. And it's not only you need to find a peer reviewer, maybe one of your teammates, maybe your boss in the agency, and then send it to the client so the client can give you more detailed feedback if something needs to change. And so you go to the fifth and last step, which is taking into consideration all these recommendations to revise the content based on the feedback. What do you need to change? Prepare that second draft and then review the process again until you are ready to implement. Sometimes the changes are minor, and sometimes, a client would say, listen, I don't like the design. I don't like this particular piece. I was expecting a longer media list, or I was expecting that you use video in Facebook. So it's really important that when you had the research process and as you develop the strategies and the tactics, you try to have as much information as possible. So when we get to this point, we make it right, maybe not the first time, but maybe after the second draft. So that is the process of creating content, and I'll see you in the next video. And the next video is right here, where we're going to take a look at the 3 objectives for creating PR content. So there are 3 main objectives for you to prepare PR content. The first one is to inform. The second one is to affect beliefs, people's beliefs, to influence, public opinion. And then the third one is to spur action. Remember, we don't create content just to put it out there. There should be specific objectives and a specific audience which you want to reach in order to attain this objective. So the first objective, it's pretty straightforward. You create content because you want to inform your audience about something. Maybe it's a product launch. Maybe it's a candidate running for office. So what you're going to do is you're going to get content, what you determine is the content, get it out there so people can access the content. So maybe if it's a product launch, you can do a microsite because you want to create awareness. So you launch the microsite, and then how do you measure success? Well, how do you say the content help you achieve or support that objective? Well, it depends on the website clicks the microsite gets after you launch it. That would be a good way of saying, my content supported this objective. So if you can have detailed, smart objectives, it's even better, because in the end, you're going to be able to know exactly what you want to measure to see if the content was successful, or if it was not, if it needs to be revised for a second stage. Okay, so the second objective for creating PR content is affecting beliefs. Say a brand supports a particular nonprofit for a specific campaign, and thus the brand takes it to social media to let people know about it. It's a product, and they are saying, listen, we partnered with this nonprofit organization. So you're getting the word out there, a kind of not to promote the product, but to tell people what are the company's values, or the brand values, or what the brand supports. And so that it's supposed, or it's meant to have impact in the sentiment, in this case, of the people, and spark action. Maybe they like the post, or maybe you want them to share the post. It depends on what your objective is, but you are getting a word out there as far as what does your brand support, and why are they doing what they're doing. So people, you can measure brand sentiment on social media, and then you can track and see if during that period people have a positive, negative, or neutral sentiment about a specific content being shared on social media. And the final objective is to spur action, to drive people to get to do something. Let's say you have a nonprofit as your client is a nonprofit organization, and so you have the purpose, the content. The purpose of the content is to get people to take a specific action. Okay, so what kind of action do they have? Well, I want to get donations, and so you make this content, and the objective of the content is to obtain donations, and you put donation button, so then you can measure in terms of the results if your donations were a success, if the content that you created was successful in achieving your particular amount of donations that you wanted to reach. So those are the three main objectives. They seem pretty general, and they apply to public relations, on the brand side, on social media, on media relations. I think this is something that we should all keep in mind as we are to develop content. So that's it for today, and see you soon. Bye now.